Well, today I am aboard the 2019 Transition Patrol Carbon with the NX build kit, and it's a nice, lively carbon 650 bike. This bike's got the 170 millimeters of travel in the front and 160 in the rear, making it a very capable, kind of all-around enduro bike. This is another one of Transition's bikes that they've used their speed balance geometry on, and basically that's just a symphony of head angle choices, chainstay length, bottom bracket height, seat tube angle, that are all designed to work together to make the bike handle really well, both at speed and make it so it's not too shabby of a climber either. This bike pedals really well when you're seated, when you're on the saddle, and really throws your weight pretty far forward with that fairly steep seat angle. These SPG bikes tend to fit me really good. I'm about 5'11" and I've got over a 6-foot arm span. So I always appreciate the extra cockpit room that most of the bikes are moving towards. When you get out of the saddle, this bike definitely squishes quite a bit in the rear. So you've got to kind of be a good pedaler out of the saddle. The shifting is handled by the SRAM NX group set, which seems to have good performance. It definitely seems to shift just as well, but has a much clunkier feel than the GX group set. All right, time to point this bike downhill. Wow, yeah, that rear suspension just gobbles up those roots like crazy. Yep, and of course, this bike can corner too. I pretty much noticed that all the SPG bikes are amazing in the corners. I think this is kind of an interesting bike or build because of the price point, and then having the carbon fiber frame, which is nice and light, but then having this NX group set, which is just a little bit more rough around the edges. I would just probably argue that you'd be better off spending that money to get the GX builds with the higher end suspension and brakes before going to the carbon frame. You get all the impact absorption of that big suspension, but then these little wheels just feel so zippy around corners. Phew! Yeah, this bike is very easy to just kind of point it and put it where you want it. That's one of the best characteristics you can have in a bike, as far as I'm concerned. Woo! Yeah. Even though I can feel the suspension on the Super Deluxe isn't quite as flush as the DPX2 that comes on the higher end builds, the bike is still just incredibly planted to the ground. It just drives the wheel into every little nook and cranny, and you just get this great feeling of like traction. These more affordable SRAM brakes do still have quite a bit of bite. I was coming up to a lot of the corners pretty last minute today, and these brakes definitely delivered the goods. So who is this bike for? I'd say this particular build of Patrol, this Carbon NX, is for somebody who really wants the lightweight carbon frame, and maybe they're gonna wait to upgrade some of the components over a year or two as they get the money. But the Patrol in general, who's that for? That's for somebody that's really looking for just a bike that gobbles up all of the gnarliest trails, that can handle speed and steeps really well, but a person that puts kind of like their highest priority on the way a bike corners. They want a bike that's a little bit more easy to slap around with the smaller wheels. Well, if you like this review, consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. And for the full write-up, go to freehubmag.com.